Well, I want to start by welcoming this deal. I think it's important that even those of us who wanted to remain in the European Union, having accepted that the side that decided to leave the European Union had won, we all prefer, of course, that that final separation should happen on the basis of a deal. And indeed, this deal is now the largest trade deal in history, so it's worth congratulating the Prime Minister, one of the leaders of the Leave faction, now the leader of the negotiations for the United Kingdom, on having achieved this deal, and also his team. This deal does not cover Gibraltar. We need to understand that the position of the United Kingdom and the position of the Government of Gibraltar has been to negotiate as one team. We continue to negotiate with Spain to try and achieve an agreement that will lead to an EU-UK deal in respect of Gibraltar. And we know that, of course, the time to achieve that is getting shorter and shorter. We want to achieve that before the 31st of December. So what I would say specifically is that the clock is still ticking for Gibraltar and for the people around us in the Campo de Gibraltar if we're going to avoid the frontier between Gibraltar and Spain becoming the external frontier of the European Union.
You say you're optimistic, but with Brexit now effectively done as far as the UK is concerned, what chance is there that Gibraltar will be left out in the cold with no deal?
So I'm working very hard indeed, even though this is a festive season, a strange festive season this year because of the pandemic, but I'm working very hard indeed with the Gibraltar negotiating team and the UK negotiating team to ensure that we do not run out of time to achieve that deal in the time that is left before the 31st of December deadline.
What if there is no Gibraltar deal, either that it's not reached at all or that it's not in place by the end of the year? What happens on the 1st of January?
Well, I think everybody who has understood why it is important that we should try and achieve a deal understands what the alternative is, which is that there will be an external frontier of the European Union, which will start at La Linea. We will be outside of that external frontier, and this will have consequences on the way that we are able to access the European Union, and consequences in the way that people who live in the European Union will be able to access Gibraltar, because we'll handle all these matters, as we've said on a number of occasions, on the basis of reciprocity. But I don't want to concentrate on that. I want to concentrate on the fact that there is still time. We are very close to achieving a deal. As I told your colleague last night, I've moved, in my view, of where we are from being a few phrases away, as we were last week, to being a few meters away from being able to achieve a deal. And I certainly do hope that there are enough things in the philosophies of man to enable us to achieve that deal in the time that is available.
You said the deal was just meters away, and the Spanish Prime Minister has said that negotiations continue. Has there been any further progress, and has the UK-EU deal made any impact, whether positive or negative?
Well, look, I'd like to think that the announcement of this deal means that there is now a momentum to try and achieve a deal also for this part of Europe, and indeed for the constituency in the European Brexit referendum organised by the UK that gave its strongest backing to the European Union and to the principles of the EU, which is what we supported. And I do hope that our 96% support will be taken into consideration by those negotiating with us, and they will understand that despite however hard politics may be, there has to be some element of a conscience in the way that politics is conducted.
If a deal is close to being achieved but is not in place by the 1st of January, based on the goodwill that both sides have said has existed so far in the negotiations, can any provisions be put in place to tide Gibraltar and its frontier over?
So a lot depends on where we are at the end of the year. If we are a moment away from agreeing, then all parties might agree that to try and stand still. If we are not just a moment away from agreeing and there are more issues left, then we may simply have to go through a period of no deal. And look, it may be that we can see those negotiations break down between now and then. So all the eventualities are still open. So I think it would be unwise for me to comment on every possible hypothesis that could happen between now and then. I will tell you that I will continue to work even through the festive period, and so will our negotiating partners, the United Kingdom, and those who are negotiating for Spain, to see whether it is possible for us to achieve an agreement, because the clock is still ticking for Gibraltar and for the Campo de Gibraltar, and we're going to try and achieve this in the time that is available.